Okay, so we'll just jump right into it. Hi, Paul. Hi, Coach Joyceloyk. Thank you so much for joining us today. All those who are going to be joining us tonight, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are excited in today's topic, something that comes up a lot. How do I manage procrastination? How do I do this? And that's why we're here today. So, my name is Jane Jagu, Transformation Mindset Coach, and I'm super excited to be having Coach Joy and Paul with me today. I'll jump to Paul, our guest, to make the introductions, and then I'll go to Coach Joyceloy. Over
Thank
to
you
you.
so much. Thank you so much, Jen. Welcome, Joyceloyk. It's great to have you here as well. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And I've been watching these lives that you've been doing, and they're really wonderful. So I just want to show my appreciation for what you guys are doing and the wisdom and insights that you're giving to the world. It's really, really wonderful. So I'm really grateful to be here. My name is Paul Smith. I have a number of different titles. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. But I lead an organization, Coaching Minds, and we provide accredited programs for different levels for coaches around the globe. So that's my main role at the minute. And I'm looking forward to today to talk with you guys on procrastination, how we can overcome it.
Thank you so much, Paul. Over to you, Coach Joy.
As always, it's really a pleasure having you, Paul. My name is Joyceloyk. I'm better known as the Dare to Glow Coach. And it's always exciting every Wednesday being here and filling people with knowledge because when people are learning, I'm learning. For me, that's what I believe. We are all students of life. So we are all part of the mindset shift as CEOs. That's why we are here to help you so that you shift your mindset from cannot to can because everything is possible depending on how you look at it. So I'll not do too much introductions because I think I can go on and on and on. Back to you, Coach Jay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Again, Paul, thank you for creating the time to join us today. It's really amazing to have you here. I will just jump right into it. Last time we covered procrastination, the definition of procrastination, the causes, the types. And now today we're here to try and give you some solution, not even solutions, ways how you can manage procrastination. And without further ado, I'll jump right into it. I'll start with Paul to give us his insights. Being our guest, you go first.
No, so thank you for that session last week. It was really, really insightful. You know, yourselves and Matt Rima as well. You shared a lot of good points on procrastination. Joyceloyk, you shared the different types. You talked about how it can affect us, all that sort of stuff. It was really, really wonderful. And one of the things that came, the first point I'd like to share with you guys today is one of the first things for me to overcome procrastination is to actually understand it. Understand where it is coming from. You know, you talked about last week that there needs to be a bit of resistance when we're not completing tasks, when we're not picking something up, when we're not taking that action. It's caused by some kind of resistance, and we need to first start by understanding why are we actually resisting that task. Is there something we're fearing? Is there something that we don't like? Is it something we don't like to do, so we put it off? Is it something that we don't want to face? What is it that's causing it, and starting to understand it? And I like to give personal examples. One personal example, when I started my career years ago, in a corporate organization, one of the things that I was really fearful of, and I always used to procrastinate, was phone calls. And I worked out when I started to learn and understand that I actually had a bit of anxiety, a bit of fear, picking up the phone and calling people. It was a bit of an anxiety and fear for me. So I had to work, every excuse I could make, every way I could divert it or avoid it, I would avoid making a phone call. I'd send an email. I'd follow up with an email. I'd message people if they're in the business on we called it link, MSN link. So everything I'd do to avoid picking up the phone. I was wondering, why can't I just pick up the phone and call somebody? You get your answer like that. It's so much quicker. If it's urgent, it's really great. And it was because I was procrastinating, because I was scared. I had an anxiety. I had that fear. So I first had to understand that it was an anxiety and a fear. So I then knew how to manage it and overcome it. So I say the first tip for me today is to understand the reasons why you are procrastinating so you can start to tackle it from there.
That's beautiful said. And when you put it that way, it goes back to the definition of procrastination. What does procrastination mean to you? Is it delaying something or totally postponing that thing? And that makes me think that for us to be able to manage procrastination, we need to understand those anti-procrastination tactics, and that's why we're here today. I know most of us have read Atomic Habits by James Clear. Just like we build a habit by doing small things gradually, it's the same thing as managing procrastination. You don't just wake up and say, okay, I'm done, I've stopped. You have to start by avoiding or stopping to do that thing one day at a time, one day at a time, and eventually it becomes a habit. You're able to stop with the process of procrastination. And then the other thing is you become better at it. So with today's tips that you're going to provide, there's no one solution suits all, because you all have different, we procrastinate differently. So you have to check what works best for you and start asking yourself the important questions why. Over to you, Coach Joy.
Yeah, and I really like the point Paul gave, because it took me to my point, for the first point that I have for today, which is make tasks more enjoyable. So
Mhm.
for me to do the tasks that I don't want to do, to overcome the procrastination habit, because there are things I don't want to do, but I do them because when I do it, I feel satisfied. And I'll go to cleaning. I'll give an example of cleaning. I don't like to clean. Oh, I don't like it. But I love being in a cozy, clean environment. So that makes me clean, whether I want it or not. So what I do, because I love dancing and I love music, I play my music. I always have music playing. So cleaning that would take me maybe 20 minutes, I would take 30 minutes doing it. But I've done it. So I play my music, I dance while cleaning, and at the end of the day, do I get done with the tasks? Yes. So while I'm doing the cleaning that I don't enjoy, I add it on with something that I enjoy doing, and I get my task done. So there are different ways, just like Coach just said. You can beat around the bush all you want, but at the end of the day, if you can find ways of getting something that you want done, then you're good to go. So for me, that's how I get tasks done, or that is how I I find myself not procrastinating too much when I want to get something done. I do something that I enjoy with what I don't enjoy. Back to you, Coach Jay.
Sorry, that's actually beautiful, because I always say when you make something fun, you're able to get through it. But when you have those negative thoughts, you just look for something that makes you happy and then incorporate it in the tasks that you're procrastinating, and it becomes so much beautiful. The other point that I had was asking yourself the relevance of the task you're procrastinating. And the reason why I say that is because often we find ourselves postponing things that have urgency, and then we find ourselves that deadline is in the next 1 hour. That's when you're rushing, maybe to have that project ready to maybe to have something done. And what happens in the process is stress and burnout comes in. So you start saying, I had a bad day. But in the real sense, this project has been there for like the last 2 weeks. Where have you been? You've been postponing it. You've been postponing it. You're like, I still have time. I still have time, until it's 1 hour to that task or project that you have. So what you can do is ask yourself, why is this task important? When is this task needed? When should I have this task done? And one way I realized of going through this, if you feel like something is so daunting that you don't want to do it, if the deadline is in 5 days, give yourself 3 days. Buy yourself some time, so that by the time the 5 days come, you're already done with that task. The other thing you can do is ask yourself, what are the consequences of me procrastinating this task or project that I have? Are they pleasant? Are the consequences something that you can live with, or it's something that you're going to keep on feeling sad and angry? And one of the consequences I know is burnout and stress. Is stress and burnout so pleasant that you want to always experience that? You always want to feel stressed and burnout. This is where I say, do a visualization. Look at the future. When I postpone this task, what happens? Will I be happy with myself? What else will be affected when I postpone this task? Maybe you're going to squeeze it within 1 hour. What will be the quality of what you produce? So when you ask yourself these questions, when you start asking yourself the relevance of these tasks, it becomes easier for you to know when or how you can deal with it. Over to you, Paul.
Some really good stuff shared there. And just I want to go back to what Coach Joyceloyk said, because a good friend of mine used to do that as well. He would make things enjoyable. He would do something he enjoys with something he didn't enjoy. But he took that next step further, and he really disciplined himself so he could only do that thing he enjoyed when he was doing that task. So that gave him that extra push. So he, you can listen to music anytime and anywhere, and it makes it really enjoyable. But his was, he was running on his treadmill, and he used to hate getting a run on his treadmill, but he used to love watching Suits. So he would discipline himself. He could only watch Suits if he was on the treadmill. So that motivated him to get up and run every day, and that was the only time that he would watch Suits. So I've seen that really work, and I've tried that myself, and it's really powerful to match the two together. And Christian, I loved what you shared there as well about that procrastination, and it's got me thinking, because I'm a last minute person, and I really sometimes, I don't know if is that a good thing or a bad thing, but I love to have that pressure to really do it and push myself into it. And maybe maybe that pressure gets put too much. Maybe there's sometimes it creates stress, and it can lead to burnout and exhaustion if you leave things too last minute. So really good points on thinking and starting to visualize and start to look at the quality if you do things last minute as well. It goes back to what you guys were talking about last week on prioritization. Can things be put off? And because Joyce, I remember you mentioning how you urgent and important and different ways in which you prioritize. It's starting to manage that with that. But the next point I want to, it kind of goes off what you were mentioning, Coach Joyceloyk, in terms of making it enjoyable. For me, it's strengthening your commitment. Whether that's strengthening your commitment to the task by making it enjoyable, or by other means, by reminding yourself of what that reward is going to be, the reason why you're doing what you are doing. One of the things that I used to procrastinate when I first started off in my coaching journey was going live. I had a bit of fear, a bit of anxiety going live, and I procrastinate. I'm not going to start doing live sessions yet. I'll do some recorded videos beforehand. I'll do this. And we make excuses for ourselves. But then how do I strengthen that commitment behind that? How do I believe in myself and start to understand that I've got a message? And if I'm holding this message in, it's quite selfish. I need to share this with the world. And it's not about me. It's not about how I look. It's not about how I appear on camera, but it's about the message and delivering that message or messages to the audience. So I used to look at how I can strengthen my commitment by asking myself the question, what is the consequences? What's going to happen if I don't take this action? If I don't do this, what is the consequences? Because sometimes we don't look at that. We don't look at the negative impact or the effects it's going to have when we procrastinate. So by asking that question, we can really start to strengthen our commitment, the reasons why and the reasons what's going to happen if we don't do it, to really help us overcome that procrastination.
That's really beautiful. Coach Joy, I don't know if you have something to add over there.
Yeah, I liked when he shared about the tasks, because I think I'm also sometimes a last minute task person. I enjoy the pressure, actually. I don't get even burnt out with the pressure. I like that last minute pressure. I have 2 hours to finish the task, and I finish it in 1 hour because of the pressure. But
I
my
guess
next point is,
I
yes.
guess it depends on what you want to deliver. Is it a project or a task? Because if it's a project, the quality might get affected with what you produce after that.
No, it's normally for tasks, really. It's not really projects. Projects, I take my time. It's tasks, small tasks. But yeah, to my next point is going to be a rewarding accomplishment. Like most cases, we don't reward ourselves for the things that we do. But for me, this has worked for me, and because I love sharing personal experiences, I'm this kind of a person that if I'm reading a book, I tell myself, now I'm reading this book, but what am I rewarding myself for reading this book? It's knowledge, yes, I'm gaining, but how am I rewarding myself for reading this book and reaching the middle or even completing the whole book? So I reward myself by taking small breaks. 1 hour I'm reading, maybe 30 minutes, and then I take a break, maybe having an ice cream or taking a walk. So sometimes we procrastinate because we don't take a break when we are doing tasks. We keep going and going, and it gets boring. And when it gets boring, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll complete it when I complete it. But when you tell yourself, you know what, I want to read today, I want to read chapter 2, but I'm going to take this break when I finish chapter 2. I'm going to give myself a reward for completing chapter 2 before I go to chapter 3. So for me, when it comes to rewarding, I love rewarding even when it comes to to people that do good things around me. I love to reward them just to make them feel good because it encourages them to keep going. So even myself, I don't forget to reward myself. Even if it's just a candy, I tell myself, you know what, this is a reward, you did good. Tap myself on the shoulder, or, hug myself if I have no one hugging me. So at the end of the day, it has to start with you. You feel like it's going on and on and on with tasks and everything. Just reward yourself with something, even if it's not much. It doesn't have to be material. It can be just a walk, taking a walk outside. It can be switching on a TV, maybe watching something. So for me, my second point will be the way that I overcome procrastination and make sure my tasks are done is rewarding myself. Back to you, Coach.
That's beautiful. I always say once you have a reward system, things get easier. When you look at a child and you tell them, when you do this, I will give you this child is going to work for that thing. So when we start rewarding ourselves, when we start appreciating ourselves for the small milestones, it becomes so much easier and better. And that smoothly leads me to my next point of understanding your productivity for the day. And I say this because it's part of rewarding yourself. When you start understanding how you function, some people, they're very productive in the morning, some people in the evening, some people after lunch. We are all different and unique. So the amount of energy you're going to allocate when we are so productive or we are super active is not going to be the same when we are in our lowest moments, like the energy is just gone, it's drained. So understanding those levels, it allows you to know when you're most creative. And then you're able to allocate the tasks to the time that you need that creativity to come out. Personally, I noticed that after going to the gym, I'm very creative. So what I did is any tasks that needs my creativity, I put it under there. So when I'm scheduling the day, I'm like, what time am I going to the gym? At this time. What do I have for the day? Well, this needs utmost attention. I can do this in the morning, but this one after the gym, instead of taking 4 hours, I'll do it in 2 hours because my mind is super active at that time. So understanding your day, how it goes, when are you most productive, will help you to plan these tasks and help you not to procrastinate. Because if you put something that requires your attention in the evening and maybe you're not productive in the evening, what are the chances you're going to do that task? What are the chances you're going to say, you know what? Tomorrow is another day, and kalas, you're done. You're done with that, you move to the next day. But the moment you say, this is a priority, I'm very active in the morning, then you'll put it in the morning, and then you'll start doing it in the morning. By the time it gets to lunchtime, when your energy is going down, you're done with that task. Instead of keeping saying tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. When does this tomorrow come? It's just about us becoming more creative with how we spend our time. Creative because once you know when you're super active to do a certain task, you even save a lot of time for yourself. So over to you, Paul.
No, I'm loving this. The stuff that's coming from you guys, the wisdom is absolutely fantastic. And I'd just like to elaborate on a few things that both of you shared there. Going to what you were saying there, Coach Joyceloyk, about rewards, I think it's also important for us to understand the importance of consistency as well, because I think sometimes procrastination can be what causes us to give up and to quit and whatever we're working towards. And sometimes it's not so easy to see what that reward is or the progress that we're making. So I think we need to have that open eye to find those small wins, those small rewards, to remind us that, and the rewards are so important because that's what keeps that momentum going. It's what keeps us that moving forward and keeps up that consistency. So I love the point that you shared, Coach Joyce. It's really, really important, I think, so we don't give up. And Coach Jane, love that. You know, when your creativity, understanding your energy, how you work throughout the day, when the tasks need to, you can actually take a quiz and find out what your chronotype is, which will tell you what part of the day is best to do certain type of tasks. You can give you a schedule, whether you're a shark, what else is there in there? Dolphin. There's different animals that you can get and how they fluctuate. So on the top of there, it's really beneficial to take a chronotype quiz and start to explore a different, like you mentioned, if you're creative after your workout, give that creativity time to your creative tasks. When you need to do the most important or the most energy draining tasks throughout the day, when is your energy at its highest, when is it at its lowest? So love the stuff that you guys are sharing. And I think my third tip or third point to share today would be around going with the flow of life. I really feel like at times we force ourselves where we shouldn't. It should be a flow. So sometimes I think procrastination can be a sign that it is something we should give up, or something we should put aside, or not, or something that we shouldn't be following. So I'm going to go to your example, of course, Joyce, of reading a book. You know, you read your chapter, you reward yourself after you do your chapter. For me, I love reading books. I can pick up a book, I can go through it, I can flow through it. But there was times when I felt like I was forcing myself to go through a book. And it's because I started reading it, I tell myself in my mind, I've started reading this, I've committed to it, I'm going to start seeing it through to the end. But actually, why? If I'm finding that resistance and I'm struggling to pick it up, one, it's blocking me from reading other books because this is the one that's in my list, and it's been there for a month or two. So what I've done is if I pick up a book and I don't resonate with it, I don't feel it, I put it down. I don't even continue to read it. I say, this is not for me. This is not the right time. So I really think just going with the flow and starting to understand that sometimes procrastination can be a real sign that there's a block there. And maybe what we're trying to do isn't something we should be doing. So we need to ask ourselves that question, do I want this? And then ask ourselves the following question, do I really want this? Because I really feel when you start to find your passion, your purpose, when you start to flow with life, you procrastinate less because you're in that flow and there's no blockages. When a procrastination comes, there's a blockage somewhere in your energy flow, and it's identifying, do you need to overcome that obstacle? What's the resistant cause? Do you need to follow through with it, or can you just let it go and move on to do something else? So I just want to share that with you guys because I really think it's important that sometimes we don't always have to persist and push ourselves to do stuff that might not be right for us.
That's amazing. And I kind of understand what you say there and resonate with you going with the flow, because sometimes we are trying to force things. And when you're forcing things, they just become so tiresome that you keep changing and changing and changing and changing. But the moment you start sitting down and asking yourself, I always call it the detective work. Ask yourself, why am I doing this? Just the same way you've said. Like, you just ask yourself these small questions, but in the end, they help you understand your reason for procrastinating this thing. Maybe it's because you need more support to do this task. Maybe you need more time, and the time you allocate to this is not enough, or it's not even important. Just let it go. So it helps us when we ask ourselves these questions. We just move with the flow. It's not all the time that we are. Procrastination might not be that bad. It might be, like Paul has said, a sign that, well, it was not meant for you this time. So yeah, I think that's a very valid point.
No, I think you make a really good point, and it's not always the fact that we quit, but maybe we just need to change direction. Maybe it's just the redirection that we need. Because another thing that I fell in the trap of, and I'm sure you guys can think of an example where people have told you that this habit's really good, or you need to do this because it's fitness, and maybe you think it's the only way. So one thing, I used to try and force myself to go jogging every morning. I used to force myself to go for a run. It was painful, it was horrible, because Joyceloyk, I tried all the trips under the sun to make me enjoy it, try my music, my podcast, but I just hated running. But I felt like it was the only way that I could keep fit. It was the quickest way, but it just wasn't for me. So instead of forcing myself, I give it up. I found workout DVDs. I do Insanity and things on beachbody.com that I actually like, and I enjoy doing it. It's a different workout. So sometimes when we feel that resistance, it might just be a redirection and thinking of something. And that's the benefit of having a coach, because a coach can help us start to see, well, you don't have to run every morning, Paul. You don't have to force yourself. You can go and do something you enjoy. Find a different way to work out that is going to give you the same benefits, but you're going to feel pulled towards rather than pushed towards.
Absolutely beautiful. Coach Joyceloyk, I know you want to jump in. The floor is yours.
Definitely, I wanted to jump in. I like what Paul has shared because it's like he was really talking about me in that instance. So it happens to me a lot. I reward myself I love reading because for me, I believe that's the only way we can even travel to different places, the imaginary world. So if I don't enjoy a book, I don't enjoy something. Just like kids, because I've been teaching kids for the last 8 years. So just like kids, when they don't want to do things, I make sure I'm rewarding them. So I think it's something I do for myself. When I'm not enjoying something, I reward myself because I want to get it done. But I think I'll put that in consideration. Try to think more. Do I really need this? Am I really up for this? Because that was even going to lead to my next point: discipline and taking a break. Because sometimes we want to do a lot of things at the same time, and that has happened to me over time. And when I started stepping back on it, I started realizing that I was more productive. So I would have 5 tasks to do at the same time, which meant I wasn't disciplined. I don't know if you guys could actually really, get to what I'm saying. And maybe you're going through the same situation. But I was at that point where I would have five tasks and I'll tell myself, oh, you know what? I can multitask. I'll do this and do this. Like I have tasks on a computer. I need to do this project. I need to do this task. I need to do this project. And I'm all over the place because I was, I had a belief that I was multitasking, not knowing that I was not disciplined. I didn't have a to do list on when I want, which one was the priority, which one I could do later. So I felt like I was overworked, yet I was overworking myself. So at the end of the day, I had to learn to be disciplined so that I can be able to do one task at a time. I had to learn to take a break. And that's why for me I say when you take a break you become more energetic because you recharge, you get refreshed, you become more productive at anything that you do. So I learned that discipline and taking a break were moving together for me to overcome procrastination. I had to take a break and tell myself, this can wait. This is more of a priority. Complete it first. Go to the next task. Go to the next one, other than wanting to complete everything at the same time. I don't know if you guys can can really get into what I'm saying and maybe share a bit because I know someone has gone through the same situation like me.
I can resonate 100% with you, Coach Joyce. And I think sometimes we need to be careful because I think that break needs to be a conscious break to recharge because sometimes our mind can play tricks on us and that break is procrastination. I've been there myself where you've got 5 or 6 or 7 different tasks and you're like, I don't know where to start. I don't know which one to start with here. I'll go and watch an episode on Netflix and come back to it later. 7 or
Yeah.
8 episodes later, oh damn, I've done nothing. I have to do it tomorrow now, and you put it off. So sometimes it's good to recharge, but we need to make sure that it is conscious and it's for that and we discipline ourselves because I'm sure we've all been
Yes.
guilty of that where we have that paralysis and it's like I'll do something I enjoy and come back to it later. No.
I
Coach J,
think
have
we've
you been?
I have also been there, and I remember there was one time I had some task, but I wasn't feeling like doing it. So I was like, okay, in an hour's time, let me watch a movie. I had you mention Netflix. I remember that time, and the movie happened to be a series. So instead of watching one episode, I ended up watching the whole thing, and the day was done, and the task was still there waiting for me, and it was not a good day at all. So that was those were beautiful points. And yeah, sometimes it's good to take a break, not to stress and burn out ourselves. And that made me think about the words we are using, rephrasing the words I need to. When you say I need to, I have to, it makes it, nobody wants to feel like they're being asked to do something. But when you use the words such as I choose to, that makes a very big difference when you're looking at a task or something you have to do. But when you start saying, I need to finish this project by XYZ, what are the chances you're going to do that task? But when you say, I choose to, that prepares your mind to start looking at it in a fun way, as Coach Joyceloyk said. It makes you feel like, yeah, I choose to do this. Nobody's setting the terms for me. It's me. Because all the time we feel like we want to be rebels. So, Paul, being our guest, I don't know if you have any bonus points you want to share with us.
Just an interesting question that came to my mind, and I love the discussion there because the other thing that comes to mind as well with that Coach Joyce is how many times do we tell ourselves we'll start on Monday? Diet starts Monday. This will start Monday. 52 Mondays later, it's a new year. We always tend to, and I think it comes back to that point you mentioned, Coach Jane, with the language that we use ourselves. And we keep telling ourselves, why don't we just start now? Let's start today. Let's not wait till Monday. Because Monday comes, something will happen on Monday, it'll be the next one. So I think that's a really important point. But something that was coming to my mind, and it's just the experiences that I've had. And I'm curious to know if you guys have had similar experiences. But I found sometimes when I do procrastinate, it's for a positive reason. And I'm going to give you an example. There's certain things, certain tasks, certain events, certain books that I keep trying to get round to doing, but I don't. But then the time when I actually get to do it, there's benefits and more opportunities. And it was like, that was the time I was supposed to do that. In terms of, I think sometimes, how does the question, I'm trying to word this in a good question for you guys is, do we think that divine timing plays a part in unconscious procrastination? It's just something that was coming to my mind when we shared everything.
Well, I think it has happened to me as well. Like something I procrastinated, but when I did it, it became like, okay, it was meant to be at this time. And that's why I tell myself, okay, everything happens for a reason. But now that you pose it that way, it makes me think. And I think sometimes procrastination, like we said last webinar when you asked that question, if procrastination is good, I think sometimes it can be positive, it can be good. I don't know about you, Coach Joy.
Yeah, for me, I strongly believe yes, because the other day I was sharing, for me, when a situation prevails itself and it's a no, like I am chasing something, or for example visas, we normally want to travel and I want to get a visa to the US, or I want to get a visa to the UK, and they don't give me the visa. And I'll give a good example. When I was traveling to UK, and everyone told me, no, you're not going to get the visa, you're this, you're that, you're, you know, a lot of negative energy. And I was like, I'll try. And I got the visa. For me, at that point, it felt like I was meant to travel. I was supposed to go to that country. So if I did not get the visa, I still had the mindset of it wasn't the time. Maybe there was something that was going to happen in that period that was not meant to happen. So this is not really procrastination, but my point is procrastination can happen for the goodness, for us, for our goodness. Because if you have a task that you're supposed to complete and you don't complete it, and you still complete it when you complete it, so you've still completed it. The only thing is it's not at that time. But it also depends, was it a task that you're supposed to complete for someone, because that is something different. But if it is your own task that you're supposed to complete and you don't complete them at the same time, and maybe because you took a break, you're not feeling so well, or you needed to take a break, or you felt like I wasn't enjoying to do this, that means you're not going to give it 100%. You would have given it 50. Like Coach Joe was saying, if you do things rushingly, like last minute, you can find yourself doing a mess, or not doing the best of your ability. So for me, I feel when I take a break, or when I have tasks and I take my time, I do the best other than doing it rushingly. For me, in my opinion, procrastination can be it can be a good thing. Back to you, Coach Paul.
Sorry, thank you, guys. I was just going to jump in there because you just got me reflecting there, Coach Joyce, as well. It's sometimes divine timing can work in the opposite way, where maybe we put something to be done, say. So I'll give you a personal example where it's worked in the opposite way for me. When I was quitting my job and going into my corporate world and going into full-time coaching, I wanted to try off. I wanted to get a sabbatical. I wanted to do a sabbatical for a couple of months, and I set myself a date. It was going to be June 20th. That was when I was going to leave, 2020. When I was going to leave the full corporate world and just go fully into coaching. No, sorry, June 2019, sorry. And what happened was I got refused the sabbatical. I got refused everything. So I just quit and I left at that point. And I felt like everything was coming too quick. I wasn't ready, all that sort of stuff. And then COVID hit. And I think now that was supposed to happen. I was procrastinating leaving my full-time corporate job into going into coaching until June, which was 8 months at the time. And I think the divine time was forcing me to have it sooner, because if I had procrastinated, COVID hit, I don't think I would have ever have left my job fully. I think I would have just coached part-time on the side and never got in. So I think sometimes divine timing can play a huge role in procrastination. I think it can pull things to us sooner than we want it, and it can push things further away sooner than we want it as well. If that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. I'm just reflecting here on what's been shared.
No, it does make sense. It does make sense. Divine timing is something we can't even explain ourselves, because it's divine. It's unexplainable. I don't know what you think, Coach.
Yeah, but I think also the most important thing is to ask ourselves before you procrastinate the relevance of that task. Because if it's not really important, then you can let me call it postpone it until the right time. So, yeah, I think you can intertwine the two. But I don't know how to go about that. So I
No,
think
but you
that
see,
brings.
Coach Jay, just to add on something, sorry. Coach
Mhm.
Jay, something to add on. There are things that could be relevant but are
Mm,
not meant to happen at that time. So
mhm.
you may not even be like procrastinating about it, but it just doesn't happen for you. You do everything you can, but it doesn't happen because of the divine power, I could say. So you keep trying, and then something else happens instead.
Mm.
I don't know. For me, I feel some things happen without even as. That's why I'm like, it's divine. You don't even know why, because it's not the time for it. Maybe that's all I can say.
Yeah,
Mm.
and I think an easy example is, have you ever bought a book, okay, and then you bought it with an intention to read it, but you don't read it until 3, 6 months, maybe 2 years down the line, it just sits on your bookshelf. But then the moment when you come to read it, this is actually I needed to hear this right now when you're going through that book. Have you ever witnessed that as well? For me, that's another example of procrastination, and that where it's coming divine timing.
I actually have three books that are still waiting for me to read, and I bought them last year, early last year. So, and when I bought them, I was like, I need to get this book. I need to get this book. But once I got it, oh, I don't know what happened.
But then when you read it, I guarantee you it'll be, I needed to read this now because I this message is come to me at the right time. It's crazy
Yeah.
how it works.
You know when you know, guys, when you talked about book, I remembered men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? So when I got that book, I was highly recommended. Get it. That book will teach you love, and all these things. I read it and I think I kind of got bored and just kept it on the shelf until we had sessions in Coaching Minds, because I'll share right now, anyone who's going to be watching, in a Coaching Minds run by Paul. He's the director. He doesn't want to be named things, but he's the director of Coaching Minds, and we always have book sessions, and a book club basically, where we share knowledge from books. He made me love the book, Women Are From Mars and Men Are From like that book. And like I had to read it because you have to share something from the book. So it got me excited. And the more I read it, the more I found things that I'm even experiencing in my own personal life. It got me excited, and I'm reading it without anyone forcing me, without even taking rewards, accomplishments for reading a chapter. So I think when you say divine timing, there is always a divine time for everything in our lives. Back to you guys.
I think the reward in that is you get to have more points during the book club discussion. You don't have to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. No, but on that, if there's any guys watching this, we need some men to attend because it's men are from Mars, women are from women from Venus, and I was outnumbered. It's hard being the only guy at these sessions. So if there's any men watching, we need you. We need the moral support for the men are from Mars.
All right. Thank you so much, guys. So, Paul, before we let you go, we'd like you to tell people a little bit about Coaching Minds, how they can become part of Coaching Minds and become part of the amazing, amazing community. And then we'll call it a wrap.
Excellent. Now, thank you so much for that, Coach Jane. So, Coaching Minds is an organization, as I mentioned earlier on, we provide different levels of accredited programs to people who are looking to be coaches. If you're interested in being a coach, speak to one of these two wonderful ladies. They're on our program. They're absolutely fantastic. So, have a chat with them first. And if you're looking to join our book club or all the free events and amazing webinars and things that these guys are involved in as well, that's completely free. You can find us at hub.coachingminds.co.uk. It's a free hub. You can check out, you can connect with our coaches. Joyceloyk's pointing down, so I'm guessing there's the link going to be in the comments box below. So the link will be in the comments box below. You can access the free community there. And as I mentioned, if you're interested in becoming a coach, please speak to one of these wonderful coaches that you have on the screen, and they'll tell you a little bit more about it. And then we can have a call from there and get you on board and get you enrolled so you can start to serve other people and make a difference to the world.
Thank you so much. And I can say it is an amazing community, especially if you're a coach, you're looking to be coach. It's a place where we learn and learn, we learn, we challenge each other, we learn. It's all about learning, which is where I love. So, Coach Joyce, I don't know if you have any final words for our viewers.
My final word, before I say my final word, I would like to say thank you so much, Paul, for sparing time. For me, one of the best gifts anyone can give me is time. You know, Valentine's Day was yesterday, and flowers were flashing all over the place. But for me, love is time. If you give me time, you give me love. So what am I trying to say? I'm really grateful to you, Paul, for sparing time to be with us today, because I know you always have a lot on your plate, but you were able to give us that time. So for me, I know and I feel right now you've given us love. That is my own way I could term it. So thank you so much. And just like Paul said, if you really want and you want to broaden your mindset, because we're all about the mindset, you want growth, link is going to be down in the bio. You can always click it and join the group. You can join as someone who wants to learn, or if you want to be a coach, there's also that part of becoming a coach, and you'll be guided on how to become one. Other than that, I would like to say you can overcome procrastination your way. You can find your own way. What we share today may be our personal experiences, may be research, but you can also find your own ways of overcoming procrastination. Other than that, thank you so much for watching, and hope you share this with other people, because knowledge is power. Back to you, Coach Jay.
Thank you so much for the kind words, not final words. I know I'll be seeing you again. And to those who'll be watching the replay, if you have more tips or insights on how we can also learn to manage procrastination, don't be shy. Put it in the comment section. Let us learn from you as well, because it's all about sharing, knowledge sharing, helping each other, becoming better each and every day. So thank you so much, Coach Joyceloyk. Thank you so much, Paul. Thank you for those who viewed us, those who'll be watching the replay. We will see you guys next week with more and more and more that's going to help you with the mindset growth. Thank you so much.